The eyes that will be watching you return for the next installment of the very successful comedy franchise. Welcome back to RealScreenReviews.com. I'm film critic Nick Yakabuchi, and our next movie review is the third part of the Meet the Parents, Meet the Fockers trilogy, appropriately titled Little Fockers. This comedy and sequel opened and released worldwide on Wednesday, December 22nd, 2010, and reunites the talents of Robert De Niro, Ben Stiller, Terry Polo, Owen Wilson, Dustin Hoffman, Blythe Danner, and the great Barbra Streisand. Filling the director's chair for the latest episode is director Paul Weitz, the director of very credible films, most notably About a Boy, In Good Company, and the original American Pie. This time, the big and little Fockers gather together in hopes of once again striking gold with both the critics and the public alike. Our tale picks up a few years after Jack Burns has finally gotten used to having Ben Stiller's Gaylord Focker as a son-in-law to his precious daughter, Pam. After tying the knot, they have now settled down in order to expand the family and raise some children, or little Fockers. Greg and Pam have given birth to twins, and as they prepare to send their kids off to a very expensive and private school, they must also successfully throw a 5th birthday party for the kids as well. Ben Stiller's Greg has given up on the hands-on part of being a nurse and has switched to more of an administrative job at the hospital. Now the drop in pay combined with the school tuition leaves Greg no choice but to become the spokesperson for Sustango, an erectile dysfunction medication. Enter Jessica Alba as Andy Garcia, a pharmaceutical rep for the aforementioned drug, and basically only in the movie to add a conflict of a love triangle to it. You also have returning to the franchise legendary actors Dustin Hoffman and Barbra Streisand as Greg's parents Bernie and Roz Focker. Bernie is in Spain learning to dance, and Roz hosts her own show entitled Sexpress Yourself. You also have Terry Polo and Blythe Danner, who are back to reprise their roles from the first 2 films as well. Now, before our adventure comes to a close, Greg must get through the turmoil of proving himself as a father and husband once again, as well as making sure their new home gets finished. Jack and Greg will also have it out a few more times, testing and pushing each other basically to the breaking point. You can add to this the frolics of Owen Wilson's Kevin once again, and also see if Greg is ready to take over as the head of the Burns family circle of trust. Well, people, the biggest problem with the film Little Fockers is that it's just not fresh anymore. Meet the Parents had to be one of the funniest and freshest comedies that had come around in years, but I thought that Meet the Fockers was a humongous step down in comparison. Meet the Fockers replaced all of that originality with sex jokes and mature antics that I believe undermined the hilarity of the first adventure. Now with Little Fockers, they are still attempting to hold on to these same dumb jokes, and I hate to tell you this, I thought they stopped being funny in the middle of the last film. We once again have Jack Burns still complaining about the same things that he was complaining about 10 years ago. Greg's not good enough for Pam, and Pam should have married Owen Wilson's Kevin. If he stays this way through any more films, I'm going to start calling him Lex Luthor, whose land schemes have lasted 30 years in the Superman movies. Then you have the addition of Jessica Alba, who was put into the movie for no other reason except that she looks good, because she brought absolutely nothing artistic to the project at all. And now that I think about it, I don't think she's ever brought anything artistic to any film. Seeing as the best that they could muster for the better part of 2 hours was fart jokes, more fart jokes, throwing up, and Viagra humor, Little Fockers ran out of steam before the opening credits were done rolling. You have Robert De Niro, Ben Stiller, Dustin Hoffman, and Barbra Streisand, and this is the best that you could come up with? Relying on Bobby De Niro to keep using the same joke, the God Focker? I mean, please, people, I couldn't wait for this movie to end. I did like and enjoy Owen Wilson, who as Kevin brings with him the only jokes in the entire film, and there is a nice and funny homage paid to one of my favorite films, Jaws. Other than these very small bits of humor, it was as if I had already seen this movie before, and that's because I already had. Now, I will say that it wasn't a complete rip-off of the original Meet the Parents, because that was actually a funny film, unlike this one. I'm sorry, but this is just one of those sequels that should have never been made, but then again, I didn't think the last one should have been made either. At 1 hour and 40 minutes, Little Fockers was nothing short of pure agony, and the only thing it accomplishes is wasting the afternoon of the viewer. When I think of an out-and-out terrible film, something like this comes to mind. That's when you get one of Hollywood's top stars, add to that 3 Academy Award-winning legends, and all you can produce is a big piece of trash. Only 1/2 of 1 star out of 4 for this terrible and much unneeded sequel, and remember people, I'm not always right, only when it comes to the movies. And thank you for your attention.